What is up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. So excited to have you here today. We are going to be reading another scam story submission. Now, before we get into it, we have some housekeeping to take care of. So first of all, I want to thank those of you that are subscribed to my channel. We are so close to reaching 1,500 subs, and I am just so thankful for each and every one of you. Now, I did want to talk about scam story submissions. Obviously, my email is linked down below. It is open for anyone and everyone to share their scam stories, to vent to me about their experience, or to just ask any questions about whether or not this coach you're looking to hire is legit. I do ask, however, moving forward, that if you are someone who submits a story to me, that you clearly indicate at the top of the email whether or not you are okay with me reading that story out on my channel, just because it does take quite a bit of time for me to sit down, to film the video, to read the story, to do the research. And if you aren't comfortable with me sharing the contents of your email, obviously I can make it anonymous and protect your identity. I would just like to know that before I go ahead and do all of the back end stuff. Again, I am all about creating a safe space for you. So if you are literally just looking for someone to vent to about your experience, that is totally okay. Please just make that clear at the top of the email that you are just venting and you want it to remain private. Now, all that being said, today we are going to be sharing a scam story that I do have permission to share. Those of you that like this content, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so today's story begins, "Hi Danielle, I love your videos and I'm excited to share my story with you, although I'm not super excited that it happened, LOL. Me neither." It started back in 2021. For context, I was a super high achiever in grade school and did well in college. Then I graduated and struggled so hard to get a job. So I was devastated that I was making nothing of my life after believing that I would be super successful throughout my youth. First of all, can we collectively just decide to rewrite this narrative that if we don't get a good job, directly out of college or university, that we are somehow a failure? I mean, I graduated university in 2014 and I worked for almost 2 years as a waitress at Boston Pizza before I managed to get my first big girl job. So no pressure. If you're watching this and you're like younger Gen Z, I don't even know what age group of people are in university right now. Just let yourself relax a bit, okay? So in 2021, I discovered the world of online business and it legit felt like a miracle. I didn't need to beg someone else for a job. I could learn a skill and make money from home. I started an Instagram from my business, posted every day, and hoped to get clients. Again, laying the groundwork that we see time and time again. A lot of these coaches tend to frame the idea that starting an online business is really easy. All you got to do is follow my 5 simple steps and you're bound to be successful. I really wanted it to work, and every day I heard from coaches who talked about the importance of mentorship and how it could accelerate your success, which was what I needed. A lot of coaches seemed very energetic, is the nice word. Abrasive is probably the one I would use, LOL. So I found a coach whose personality I clicked with because she was more chill. I paid $8,000 for 6 months of coaching. I begged my parents to help me out with the first half of the payments because I figured it was just like any capital that a business would need to get started. I had a dream and huge belief that this was going to work out. Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk about here. So I have shared in many of my videos that I hired a business coach when I started my very first business back in 2018. And I actually went through a similar experience where I was getting all of these Facebook ads at the time of all of these coaches explaining how, they left their job and they're making 6 figures and how you can make a full-time income from home, et cetera, et cetera. And at that time, I was very miserable in my 9-to-5 job. I was looking for a way out. And so there was one coach in particular who I kept seeing her ads, but all she would really talk about was money. And I've never been someone who's like super motivated by money. I don't really care if I make, $40K in a year or $400,000 in a year. I just want to be able to live my life and be comfortable. And so through that coach, I actually got exposed to another coach who didn't really talk about money and more just talked about the lifestyle, and also had a similar timeline experience as me, wherein she quit her job, started her business, etc. And so it was really that approach that drew me in. And I'm only sharing this because this person talks about how a lot of these people are very energetic or abrasive, whichever word you choose to describe them. And they ended up going with someone who was less in your face. And so I can definitely relate to that experience. Now, the second piece of this paragraph I thought was interesting because, again, she convinced herself that this $8,000 expense was going to be worth it because when you start a business, it is true, there are a number of expenses that you will incur to get that business started. For those of you that don't know, I actually used to run a private yoga studio. I owned that studio for 4 years, and I started that business with only about $300. So my upfront cost was the cost of my yoga mats, my blocks, and the bins that I kept them in. and then the web hosting fee that I paid on an annual basis. And so I basically bootstrapped that business to be very low cost from the beginning. But obviously, depending on the context of what kind of business you're starting, your startup costs can cost anywhere from like $100 to $5,000, $10,000. And so what a lot of these coaches do is they essentially convince you, especially if you're unknowing and you don't have any business experience, and they tell you like everyone who starts a business has to spend thousands of dollars to get started. And so logically, you're thinking like, oh yeah, that must be true. And so I can definitely see how someone would be susceptible to thinking that this is going to be a valuable expense for their business. Note that I said first half of the payments because I was on a 6-month payment plan and I thought for sure I would be making good money by the time the first 3 months were done. That's what a coach was for after all. Then I would pay the remaining half with the money I was making. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. Again, also common rhetoric we see in the coaching space is these people sharing this narrative of, oh, you have to invest in yourself. Investing in yourself is going to be the way that you can create more money. And then the stories that we hear time and time again is that I invested all this money and I never made it back. So it really speaks true to a common experience that I have heard time and time again. As I began coaching with her, I realized she had no business experience outside of coaching. That is a huge red flag. If you are someone who is looking to hire a coach or consultant for your business, always, always, always do your due diligence, ask them for their qualifications, ask them what their business experience is, because it is my opinion that if someone has never owned a business outside of coaching other people on how to start a business, they are likely not going to be able to help you build an actual business. The only business they will be qualified to help you start is a business where you are also coaching other people on how to coach other people to start a business. She encouraged me to coach. I was a social media manager, so I decided to put together a program with her guidance. No one signed up, so after we were done, I went back to social media management. So exactly like I just said, she hired this coach to help her grow her social media management business. Because this person never had actual business experience, they instead were like, oh, you should just become a coach. So this person ditched their social media management business and became a coach instead and wasn't successful and had to go back to the original business. This actually came up in the anonymous interview that I did in this video right here, where similar situation, this person had a thriving business, ditched it to become a coach, it flopped, had to go back to starting that business from ground zero. So really, really unfortunate. And again, a huge red flag to look out for when you are looking to hire a coach or consultant for your business. I still wasn't making good money. I had been brainwashed by the bios that said 6 figures in my first year, and I literally thought that would happen for me if I tried hard enough. Naive, I know, but I knew nothing about business, so I didn't even know that this was a too good to be true claim. I thought it was normal. Let me just share the statistic that approximately, I think it's like 85% of small business owners never break 6 figures. And so that's something really important to keep in mind, especially as we see a lot of these coaches talk about multiple 6, multiple 7-figure months. It's setting an unrealistic expectation because, again, the majority of small business owners are never going to break 6 figures. And so if you have a business that makes any income, honestly, you're doing better than most. And so kudos to you for even having the inclination to try. But I totally understand what you're saying here because, again, in the online space and in the messaging, we see it time and time again where they make it sound so easy. And so we set this expectation for ourselves that we're also going to hit 6 figures. And when we don't, it's very, very disappointing. A year later, I figure I wasn't trying hard enough with my first coach and another coach pops into my DMs. When I tell her I can't really afford coaching, she said something like, you have to invest in your business to get where you want to be. I'm a huge people pleaser, so I paid her $4,000, again on a payment plan, for a group program. This time, it was pre-recorded course materials and live calls. I couldn't attend any of the live calls because I had a 9-to-5 and the pre-recorded material was all stuff I already knew. I know that I addressed this in a recent video. I don't honestly remember which one, but it's this idea that we see, again, especially in the coaching industry, this concept of stop doing one-on-one, start doing group coaching because you can impact more lives and save more time. But the issue I have with group coaching is exactly this. No longer are these people receiving customized support. They're still encouraged to pay thousands, multiple thousands of dollars to be involved in these groups, but then they're not actually getting the one-on-one focused support that they need. And I know trolls in the comments will be like, well, then why don't you just pay extra for the one-on-one coach? No, if you are a coach who is genuinely focused on providing results for your clients, you need to create a format in which those people can get the individualized support that they need. Because offering people pre-recorded slides and not having the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one one-on-one. I have nothing wrong with group coaching calls, provided each person has the opportunity to ask their questions. But what we see time and time again, coming from experience as someone who has been involved in multiple group programs, is that there's simply not enough time, and I do not support the way that the majority of these coaching programs are designed and executed. Again, my opinion, my experience based on what I have seen in the industry. Between that and the other courses I took, my business ended up negative $14,000 in the first 2 years. The coaches didn't really help me, and the few clients I've had didn't even come from Instagram. It's taken me a while to come to terms with the fact that I've been scammed. I'm anti-MLM, I know about scams, I've been following that movement for years, and yet here I am. I don't think anyone tried to scam me. I think they are also brainwashed by the online business world. They really believe their $400 per call is worth it, and they've had an online coaching business for a few years and no prior experience in business. Yes, I'm really glad that you brought this up, because I think that this is something that can be often misunderstood, is this idea that as a creator who calls out people for scammy behaviors, that I think that all of these people are malicious in their intent and that they're evil and they're trying to ruin people's lives. I don't believe that to be true. Let the record show that I don't think all of these people are terrible people. No, what I think is that most of these coaches in the industry are so heavily indoctrinated into the social norms of the industry, for lack of a better term, that they do these unethical practices. They overcharge for their experience. They provide services that they're underqualified to be providing, because they don't know any better. And so no, I don't think that the people that I share in my videos are evil people. I genuinely believe that they don't understand that they are even scamming people. For the most part, obviously there are some individuals who are knowingly taking advantage of others, but time after time, we see people who genuinely think that they are doing people in the world a favor by offering the things that they offer, when in reality, they just haven't been called out yet. And that's actually why I created my series where I talk about the difference between coaching versus cults versus MLMs, because a lot of those tactics of indoctrination are present in each of those industries. So I will link them subsequently, like one after another right here, where I talk about the differences and commonalities between each of those things, and how having a powerful leader is sort of the reason why these schemes are perpetuated. And so if you haven't watched those videos yet, I would definitely recommend that you do so, because I think that it provides a lot of insight into my intention with the content that I create here on my channel. But again, all that to say, just like we see in MLMs and in cults, with the coaching industry, people don't come into it being like, I'm gonna learn to be a millionaire and take advantage of a bunch of people. Most people, myself included, become coaches because they think they are doing people a favor. And it's not until they step out of it and come after the fact that they realize, like, wow, I really wasn't helping anyone. I was just trying to make money. Okay. We're almost done. I would never hire a coach again, but if I did, I would make sure it was someone with a profitable business prior to becoming a coach. So many coaches say, I used to be a VA, a social media manager, a service provider, but my business really took off once I started coaching. Again, we see this time and time again. A lot of the people that I've featured on my channel started out as fitness coaches, as social media managers, as insert business name here. And it wasn't until they started coaching other people on how to start those businesses that they were able to reach, you know, the six figures, multi six figures that they constantly brag about. Well, yeah, that's because people believe you can make the money. So many businesses fail, and getting coaching doesn't really keep you from being a part of that statistic, especially if your coach only knows how to run a coaching business and can't help you with anything else. Anyway, I'm still processing this, crushed to fail yet again. I know this was so long. Thanks for everything you do. It's crazy how easy it is to fall for, so I want as many people as possible to be aware. Thank you so much for submitting your story, and I am so sorry that this was your experience. I hope that you are able to recover financially. I know that getting sort of sucked in, for lack of a better term, to a lot of these schemes can leave people in a really vulnerable position, and that is why I create the content that I do, because I think it is really important that people who are in these positions where they simply just want to learn how to grow their business, how to be successful, how to get more clients, are able to do so without ending up in a position where they're out all of this money and have nothing to show for it. If you haven't seen my video yet where I talk about the red flags that you should look out for if you are someone who is looking to hire a coach, consultant, or mentor for your business, I would urge you to watch that video, because I think it really clearly articulates a lot of the commonalities in these sort of scammy practices that we tend to see in the coaching space, and it can hopefully help you stay protected. Again, if you are someone interested in learning how to grow a business, but you don't want to get scammed. I also have an entire playlist that I can link here where I share marketing tips for your small business. Again, I have been a business owner for almost 5 years now, and I have learned a thing or two along the way, and I offer that advice for free here on YouTube. All that to say, I would love to hear your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will leave you with this video right here next.